What's up, everyone? And you are watching Crypto Grinders. And today we have Ross Zhang, the head of marketing for Huobi Group. Thank you so much, Ross, for attending this interview. I think everyone is anticipating the launch of Huobi Prime.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for having me today.
And where are you coming? Where are you actually joining us from right now?
Yeah, I'm joining from Singapore.
Okay. So right now, Ross, tell us a little bit more about yourself. How do you come to have this role as the head of marketing? What's your history before you even joined Huobi?
Right. So before I joined Huobi, I used to work for Canada Pension Plan Investment Board, which is one of the largest pension funds in the world. So actually during that time, I found the blockchain and the cryptocurrencies can really change the financial world. And actually I was the early advocate for blockchain technology in large financial institutions. So that's part of the reason I joined the Huobi. So I joined the Huobi last year to lead their Canadian business. Right now I got assigned to a new role as head of marketing and CEO assistant at the Huobi Group, which oversees the global marketing.
Having said that you were advocate, especially for financial institutions, how do you see their receptiveness to all this? Because I think there was a lot of anticipation about BARC, ETFs. Do you really see that was going to take shape, especially in the years to come, especially when you started advocating, or you felt that it was going to be slow to begin with?
I think it depends on the risk appetite for the financial institutions. So different financial institutions have their investment strategies. For example, I do see some of the hedge funds because they're more like a risk seeker in the market, so they're more aggressive in terms of their investment strategy. So I know some of the crypto funds. Actually, we do see many crypto funds that are doing investment in the crypto space. But for large institutions, and I think they're still waiting for the regulations to come, and also they're waiting for the market to become more mature to step in. So I think with all the buzz about the BACT and the ICE, I think people from the mainstream, from the large financial institutions, they're actively looking at it, and know Fidelity is looking at it. So I think with the regulations and with the more mature markets in this space, I think the large financial institutions will come to play eventually.
And what do you think they're waiting for? Is it custodial services? Is it basically further transparency in terms of an index where they can trust, or at least they are able to track the volume more transparently? What do you think they're waiting for? Or is it basically more factors than that?
There are so many factors that they need to consider when they want to do asset allocations or they want to invest. So you mentioned the custodial service that's being built right now. Actually, Huobi has this experience in custody our customers' assets, and also I think the more I think it is actually the regulation is one of the biggest hurdle here, because different countries have different attitudes or different opinions on the crypto regulations. So I think lots of regulators are actively working on it, and we will see how it goes. And also another factor is the market manipulation, because this market is still not mature or not big enough for the large financial institutions in terms of the dollar size and how the market is formed.
Yes, it's still very tiny, right, in terms of the market cap. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. So if you compare with the traditional the equity and fixed income markets, or even the derivative market, so those markets are much larger than the crypto markets right now. I mean, if someone from the traditional financial market come into play, so their asset allocation may not necessarily manipulate, but it may impact the market a lot.
Mm.
And I think that's one thing that we want to avoid in a mature market.
It's basically like throwing a huge boulder into a small pond.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think everyone is probably going to be very interested to find out a lot more about Huobi Prime. Huobi recently launched the new coin launch platform, which is Huobi Prime. Tell us more about the platform and how it complements the current Huobi exchange.
Oh, yeah, sure. So Huobi Prime is a better way to access cutting edge crypto projects with a high potential for like impact on growth. So that's one design, not just for the deep pocket and well connected, but also for the ordinary like retail traders or the retail like investors. So a lot of people say it's an IEO. So I want to emphasize the point that Huobi Prime is not IEO. It's not initial exchange offering. So it is a way. So for IEO, it is a way for the product team to raise funds from the exchange. So I know like some other competitors were doing this IEO that's for the purpose to raise funds for the project. But Huobi Prime is not IEO. So normally the IEO will charge the project the listing fee, but Huobi Prime does not charge listing fee for the project. The purpose for Huobi Prime is not to raise funds. It's actually, it provides a discounted token for the regular investors as well as other participants to access these premium projects directly. So, so that's why it's very different than the IEO, and also it's you can start trading the token listed right away. Like you don't need to wait until it's actually getting listed on the exchange.
But how would you handle the liquidity then? Because right now, right, if let's say, for example, or maybe you could help me define that. Let's say there's an initial offering, because there are three tiers from what I understand. There are three phases. So how is the liquidity available? Let's say the moment that you're done let's say you're done participating in the first round, you manage to get some tokens. Would that already have some availability to trade already, or not yet?
Yeah, so that already has some availability to trade. So like we have like each round. So each round has actually a press cap.
Right.
So each round will last for 30 minutes, and each round will have a press cap.
Okay.
And people can do the trade, but like in order to avoid the extreme like market volatility, then people can trade using the market order, using the market price.
Exactly.
But the market price is kind of like limited to that price limit to avoid the extreme market volatility.
Okay, so there is a limit to how much fluctuation there will be, right? Because it wouldn't be very fair, especially if, let's say, if you manage to get it early on, but then there are people who probably want to speculate on the so-called the speculative aspect or the secondary market, right? The moment it launches, and they decide that because they couldn't get it during the round. Let's say I couldn't get it during the round, and you did, but you're willing to let it go for a slightly higher price. But would that price be lower than the second round? Because there's the second round as well, right? So where's the cap?
Yeah, so the price cap for each round is actually higher. Well, for example, so let's kind of like go back a bit. So the prime phase is not a primary market phase. It's already like in the secondary market,
right?
With some constraints on the price, with the price limit. And for each round, the price limit actually increases for each round. For example, if we get 0.1 dollar for the first round, the second round maybe 0.2.
Yep.
So like it will be step. So the price will increase for each round. Okay. And after the prime phase, after the three rounds are finished, then it will be an open. So it will be an open like market for everyone. So then after the prime phase, the price is totally determined by the overall market, not just the prime participants.
Okay, so there is also certain restrictions with regards to how much can be purchased per round. Could you share a little bit more about that?
Right. So in total, that you can only purchase $1,000 equivalent US dollar equivalent in HT, because initially we only opened the HT and the top trading pairs, for example.
Okay.
So you can only buy the top token using Huobi token.
Okay, so only by owning Huobi tokens can you then participate in any Huobi Prime offering or listing.
In the prime phase. So that's the initial plan. So later on, we may open the BTC and the USDT trading pairs for top.
But that's after the 3 rounds, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move along to the next question. What are the features that users, projects, investors, etc., can stand to benefit from the platform? How is it different from the listings on the main exchange, right? Because that's the part where Huobi Exchange or Huobi Main Exchange already existingly lists existing projects. Sometimes they even list new projects as well, or new projects can actually go to next. But then now there's Huobi Prime. So is there a key difference from these various exchanges?
Yeah. So I want to. So I kind of I want everyone to know that the Huobi Prime is not a platform. It's actually it's more like a top add-on from Huobi Main. So if you look at the different, you can view as 3 different tiers. So Huobi Prime, we do have some a listing requirements. That's an add-on to Huobi Main.
Right.
And and Huobi Next is for the emerging projects to get listed on Huobi Next, and the premium is more a faster and direct way to access the premium project, and the Huobi Main still remains the way it is.
Can I kind of jump in a little bit? Are you trying to say that Huobi Prime is more of an extension, or as you mentioned, a value add-on, and these projects that come on board could potentially be on main or be on next? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for the project that's going to be listed on Huobi Prime, actually, when the Prime starts, it's listed on Huobi Main by default, right? We will open the HT and that project trading pair
first.
So so that means that that project is already listed on Huobi Main.
Cool.
So so the Huobi Prime is just a better and easier and more direct way for the project to list it on Huobi Main. You can view that.
So it may not be a question that I have a question that comes to mind from here. So probably the initial phase of Prime, right, is to have another layer where you can raise, where at least there's a participation and a fundraising round from the members, right? Whereas compared to in the past, where most projects were listed directly onto Main, would go through their own process of fundraising and of course eventually through vetting from Huobi. Then it came down to whether or not Huobi would allow the project to be listed on Main or Next. But right now, with Prime, it seems like you're able to provide that level of exposure to Huobi Prime users only. Is that kind of why it brings everything together?
So we still use the in terms of the listing process, and we still use for example, the smart chain model that we use to evaluate projects that's going to be listed on Huobi Main or Huobi Next. Like we still use that methodology. It's just on top of that, we're more, we have other criteria to consider, right? Like, and for example, like we will look heavily on the factors that whether the project can, whether the project has the real use cases or not, and whether the project has excellent support from the community, and whether the business model has the long-term value creations. So those things, even though like we look at those things in the smart chain model, but for the project that's going to be listed on Prime, like we give more weight on those factors. So you can see, a project that's listed on Prime will definitely be qualified, as the Huobi Main project.
Cool. So how does Huobi Prime actually differ from the main exchange, and how does Huobi Prime aim to achieve and bring more to the table, if that's the case? Right.
So Huobi Prime is directly connected to Huobi Global, and in that, all coins launched through Huobi Prime are listed on, and they're tradable like with minimal delay. So as I said, it's a top add-on to Huobi Main.
Right. Okay.
And so in terms of how does Huobi Prime aim to achieve and bring to the table, so the point is the Huobi Prime provides a direct and faster and easier way to access premium projects for the regular investors. So it has different implications. So first, it's a direct, fast, and an easier way. So what it means that you have the opportunity to so like a Huobi will put a lot of effort and will work closely with our project team on the token listing process. So that's number one. And the second, it has access to the premium projects. So in terms of the premium projects, we have different selection criteria. I can talk later on. And also, it's a more rigorous than other projects in terms of the project selection.
Sure.
And the third point is it's accessible to regular investors as well as the VIPs and the other major players.
But how would there be a distinction between VIP investors compared to the retail? How would you all differentiate that?
Yeah, so in terms of the qualifications, they're the same, but they have different quotas to, for example, for the regular investors, they have like $1,000 equivalent in terms of like the HT.
Okay.
So like other VIPs may have more quota than that. So that one, we're because we're still not launched yet.
Okay, so that portion is not announced yet.
Yeah, it's not officially confirmed yet.
Sure.
But the point is, the regular investors has this opportunity to access the premium project as well, as the VIPs and the deep pocket people.
Sure, because at the end of the day, the retail investors are always crying foul, because it seems that whenever there's a public launch, and if there's a high level of anticipation, it always seems that the take up is so fast that people think that just because everything was swapped up even before this whole launch, and the whole launch was just a kind of a show. So could you kind of reassure the audience that when you say that it's retail, it's clearly retail? Because from my community, right, just to share, from my community, there are people apparently mentioning that you could actually buy verified accounts, right? So when you could buy those verified accounts, I'm not sure where do you even buy these verified accounts, but if you could, you would have greater access or more opportunities to buy out more of that particular token. So this was something that kind of like, I was like, okay, makes sense. It could be possible. And I was just wondering, how would Huobi actually address these kinds of manipulations or some people who are, or even organizations trying to game the system? Is there a way that the exchange could combat this?
Yeah, so we are aware that some people are using the bots, are using the automated software to do this kind of thing.
Yes.
So we have this anti-phishing and anti-bots mechanism like in our system to detect that. So if we detect it, so they will not be qualified to participate.
Yeah.
So that's the best effort that we can do on our side.
Sure.
So in terms of like other things that users to basically like to trick this process, like there's no like a perfect process that can prevent everything.
Sure.
As long as they are not like manipulating it. Mm-hmm. So as long as they are qualified, and we welcome like all the users to participate, but we do have the anti-bots and anti-phishing mechanism in our system to prevent that.
Oh, okay. So what makes Huobi Prime different from other exchanges in the space?
Yeah. So if you look at if you look at Huobi as a whole, not only Huobi Prime, because Huobi Prime is a top add-on on Huobi Global. Unlike the similar platforms, so Huobi Prime, give the users like the issue. It's basically you can start like a trading right away, and the coins that you have is it will be deposited into your account with a minimal delay, and with fewer barriers between users and their coins. So that's why Huobi Prime is designed for both big players and the average users. And Huobi Huobi Global is like a strength, and the expertise can really outshine here, because we do have the expertise in the exchange operations and also like in the liquidity. And plus, Huobi, if the project is selected to get listed on Huobi Prime, so Huobi Global will provide a global marketing effort, not just domestic, but also the global marketing effort, and also different levels of support from the entire Huobi group to support this initiative. And plus, because one of the other strengths that Huobi group has is Huobi's whole ecosystem.
That's right.
Like a Huobi pool and a Huobi wallet. Yep. So it depends on what the business model for this project, so we can provide support from the whole Huobi ecosystem and not just from the Huobi exchange. So I think that's one of the unique strengths that Huobi Group has.
Okay, so the next question I probably want to ask is, as a launching platform, right? I'm sure we'll be seeing more upcoming projects. Are there any projects that we can already see on the 26th of March? I mean, onwards, other than Top?
Yeah. So actually, there's a very strong project candidate pool for Huobi Prime, but for March 26th, will be Top only. Will be the Top project only. Right. So there will be more to come, and stay tuned with our social media and our official channels to get the latest updates on the next project on Huobi Prime.
Sure. Okay. And regarding accountability, will Huobi be offering an escrow system to assure that investors' funds are released to the projects, especially when they hit certain key milestones? Yeah.
So I want to emphasize that Huobi Prime is not an IEO. So that's why Huobi doesn't collect the investor funds.
Okay.
So it will be like you use you use whatever funds you have in your Huobi account to start trading right away, and Huobi doesn't collect those funds into Huobi's, so-called escrow account. There's no such thing as escrow account from Huobi side.
Right.
So that's why it's more like a secondary market that investors start trading right away.
But Ross, help me to understand this. When I buy the Huobi tokens, right, I'm buying into, say, top tokens, for example, right?
Right.
That transaction, right, it allows me to, it seems like, okay, it's an exchange. What happens to the Huobi tokens then that go to the top project? What does it go to the top project, or it's actually an exchange? What is going on from that?
It's an exchange. It's not going to the top projects. It's not a funding. It's not a funding method.
It's not a funding method. Okay, and that means
Yeah.
these projects have already found the funding prior to that. And right now, if they already found the funding, why not immediately just release the tokens then? Like, just release the tokens and just allow it to trade openly on the secondary market. Why go through all the rounds?
Yeah. So if they, I think it depends on the project preference, and also it depends on how an exchange empower the project, right? For example, I'm not taking a top example, any project.
Any project, yeah, sure.
Yeah, any project. So, for example, if the project team was so focused on the technology development, on the research and development of their project, but they didn't have much marketing resources to advertise their project. But they do have good use cases, but they do have good reputations from the industry. They do have a large community support. If they release the tokens right away to their users, they're not going to if they are not going to list on Huobi Prime, the market reaction may be much lower than what they expected.
Correct.
So
correct. Because you're saying that they could have failed to market their efforts correctly, and they maybe didn't amplify themselves enough, right? So that the token take up will not be as attractive, or may not be as quick as compared to if they had done it through Prime. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, exactly. So that's why Huobi Prime is trying to empower the project team, right, to maximize their voice, in the community and in the users space. So actually, that's I mentioned that Huobi can provide the global marketing support for the project team. So that's on the marketing side, right? If that's one of the strengths that Huobi can provide to the projects that's listed on Huobi Prime.
Okay, so in a way, Prime becomes like an accelerator, right? An accelerator for the projects in a sense. And also it helps them to create greater interest with Huobi Prime users first. And then from then, is it going to be an exclusive arrangement? Let's say, for example, if I'm a project and I launch through Huobi Prime, will there be any restrictions for me to move to other exchanges eventually, or it's going to be pretty flexible for the project?
It's pretty flexible to the project, but one of the criteria that we look at the project is it cannot be listed on other major exchanges before Huobi Prime. But after, of course, there are certain period that we want the project to be exclusive with Huobi. But we also understand that we cannot. The project wants to get listed on other exchanges to get more exposure. So that's why there will be a certain period that it's only exclusive on Huobi. But after that certain period, so they can be listed on other exchanges as well if they prefer.
Okay, noted. Yeah. And how will the projects on Prime stay transparent to its investors? And how will Huobi Prime or Huobi play an integral role in this?
Right. So if you look at the transparency, it can it can it can be broken into like two phases.
Right.
One is the pre-listing phase. So that's that's the selection process that we talk about. So Huobi uses a smart chain model to evaluate, and plus Huobi uses smart chain model to evaluate the projects. Like we already use this smart chain model to evaluate like hundreds of projects.
Yes.
And so that's proven to be successful. And plus, for the prime projects, we have additional criteria. For example, the project needs to have a strong project team, especially the founding members. And the project needs to have a progressive business model with long-term value creation. It cannot be, the speculation only.
Okay.
And third, it needs to have like impressive, like financial backing. So why is that? Because Prime is not a funding method for the project. And fourth, it needs to have excellent support from the community, because we believe the community is a crucial part in the success of the project.
Right.
And also the project needs to have a solid reputation. There's no like a negative news on either the project itself or the founding members. There cannot be like a scandals or something. And also, as I said, it cannot be previously listed on major exchanges. So that's more like a basic criteria for the Huobi Prime project. You can see like how selective it is, and plus that the Huobi Prime team will weigh the following factors heavily. For example, if the projects that involve a major technological breakthrough, then it will be a strong plus for the project. And also, if the founders from the project team with exceptional reputation in the industry, that will be a strong plus too. And also, if the advisors or there are some supporters are from from like a famous, if they have like a well-known supporters from the industry, or like if their advisors give lots of credibility to the project team, that's a strong plus too. And also we look at the token economics of the project as well. So the token economics project needs to make sense, and also it needs to have good use cases. It cannot be the case that they just want to use blockchain and they just want the name of the blockchain. They just want the name of the token, and there's no like real use cases for that. So, if they do, that will be a strong plus. And also, if the project was previously invested by Huobi Capital or Huobi Global Ecosystem Fund, that will be a strong plus too.
So why was Top selected as the very first project to be on Huobi Prime? What criteria? I mean, what made it stand out so much across all the other projects that are available, especially coming to Huobi?
Right. So again, it already got a high score using the smart chain model.
Sure.
And plus, they have a very strong project team. The founding member, the CEO Steve, is a serial entrepreneur. So his previous company was acquired by a large telecommunication company before, and their CMO Noah graduated from Yale, and he has lots of industry experience as well. And in terms of the business model, so it has a real use case in the telecommunication area, and so we look at their community support. They already developed products before, which has 15 million users basically. So their existing user base is very attractive, and there's no there's no like scandals like in the project or like in the founding team, and their project was not previously listed on the major exchange. So like considering like all of that, so we think that the top is the first project to get listed on Huobi Prime. And actually our CEO Leon Li, so the founder of Huobi Group, spends a lot of time asking what are the use cases for their token economics. So what's our whether there's long-term value creation for this project. So that's why it's got selected.
All right. So that is kind of all the time that we have already today. Ross, do you have any final words for us?
Yeah. So I want to remind, to participate like a Huobi Prime, lots of people are asking, how much Huobi token shall I hold? And, and I want to give like everyone an answer. In order to participate like a Huobi Prime, you need to hold. So the default rule is to hold 500 HTs. It's on. Counting back from the 30 days. Counting back 30 days from the launch date. However, for the first, in order to participate, the first Huobi Prime launch, which is the top project, that 500 HT limitation will be waived. So you don't need to necessarily hold 500 or more HT in your Huobi account in order to participate. That's why.
So do I need to? Okay, so maybe to clarify a little bit further, do I need to? If I hold this 500, can I use this 500, or do I have to have something on top of the 500 in order if I want to participate? How does it work?
So as long as you have 500 HT or more in your Huobi account,
yes,
like the average daily holding of 500 HT in your Huobi account, counting back the 30 days, then you will be qualified. For example, if you have,
so I can use that 500 to participate in the project if I wanted to, right? I don't have to buy another batch of Huobi tokens, and I'll just use that as long as it's a rolling 30 days, and I've held it in the wallet. I can use that 500 Huobi or whatever amount that I choose.
Right.
Okay. So that is all the time that we have today. Ross, thank you so much for coming by to the show and sharing so much about Huobi Prime. I think a lot of people are excited about it. And anyway, guys, if you are excited about Huobi Prime, give this video a thumbs up. If you're not excited about Huobi Prime, give this video a thumbs down, right? And at the end of the day, guys, I think this whole space is starting to take shape very, very nicely. And, we always want to bring value to the folks in the crypto space, especially if you're learning to trade, invest in cryptocurrencies. Crypto Grinders is the channel for you. And at the same time, give us a subscribe, please. And at the end of the day, we'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Ross.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Right. Cheers.
For more crypto-related content, check out our website now.